For 30 years, the auto detailing industry has been selling you a box of sandpaper and calling it a professional solution. They handed you an electric drill, a polishing pad, and wet sand grit, and told you to grind away at your own headlights. And millions of people did it, and it worked. Until it didn't. Because what they never told you is that every single pass of that sandpaper was removing real, healthy plastic from your lens, permanently thinning it, permanently weakening it. You weren't restoring your headlight, you were slowly destroying it, one grit at a time, and they made $30 every single time you did. Now watch this. A completely yellow, foggy headlight. Oxidized so thick it looks like frosted glass. A paper towel gets sprayed with a clear liquid from a $1 can you can buy at any grocery store. One firm wipe across that lens. 3 seconds. The thick yellow crust does not buff away. It does not sand away. It chemically liquefies and transfers onto the towel in one clean stroke, leaving behind plastic so clear it looks like new glass. No scratches, no drill, no damage. $1. That is what they buried. And that is what we are about to expose. Welcome to the Buried Blueprint. I'm glad you found this channel, because what gets discussed here does not make the detailing industry comfortable. If you want to know what corporations actively suppress to protect their profit margins, hit subscribe right now and ring that bell. Every blueprint we drop is time sensitive, and you don't want to miss what's coming. Now, let's talk about what is actually happening to your headlights, because once you understand the real problem, you will never look at a restoration kit the same way again. Your headlights are made of polycarbonate plastic. It's a remarkable material, incredibly strong and optically clear when it's new. But polycarbonate has one critical weakness. Ultraviolet radiation from the sun attacks the outer molecular layer of the plastic over time and oxidizes it. That oxidized layer turns yellow. It becomes brittle. It clouds over. And it scatters your headlight beam in every direction instead of projecting it forward, which means your nighttime visibility drops significantly. That yellow layer is not deep. It is a thin, microscopic skin of chemically dead plastic sitting on top of perfectly healthy material underneath. Here is the part the detailing brands hide from you. When you buy one of those $30 headlight restoration kits, you are buying a system designed around one principle: physical abrasion. You use wet sandpaper, usually starting at 400 grit and working up to 3000 grit, to physically grind that yellow oxidized layer off. And yes, it removes the oxidation. But it also removes real plastic, healthy plastic. With every grit level you use, you are cutting millions of micro scratches into the surface of the lens. Then you use the polishing compound to buff out those scratches, but buffing doesn't eliminate scratches. It just makes the remaining scratches finer and finer until they're small enough that the human eye reads them as a shine instead of a texture. Your headlight after using one of those kits is physically thinner than it was before. The optical clarity you restored came at the cost of actual material removal. Use those kits 2 or 3 times over the life of the car, and the lens becomes genuinely fragile. And the industry knows this. They know you will be back in 12 to 18 months buying another kit, because the sanding process strips off the UV protection built into the outer layer of the plastic, which accelerates reoxidation. You sand it, it reoxidizes faster. You buy another kit, you sand it again. The cycle never ends. That is not a solution. That is a subscription model disguised as a one-time fix. There is a completely different approach, one that does not involve abrasion at all, one that targets the dead oxidized layer chemically and dissolves it without ever touching the healthy plastic underneath. And before I tell you exactly what it is, I need to tell you something important. This DEET headlight hack is just one entry in a much larger archive of suppressed DIY knowledge. We have compiled dozens of these classified level guides into one vault, covering everything from mold elimination to wood rot reversal to rust conversion. The link to the complete Buried Blueprint vault is in the description below this video. It is the kind of resource that the home repair and auto detailing industries would prefer didn't exist. Go check it out. But stay right here, because exactly how you apply this changes everything. The step you skip at the end can cause damage. Do not skip it. Now, the reveal. The cheap household spray that chemically melts yellow headlight oxidation in 3 seconds is standard bug repellent spray. Specifically, any bug spray that contains the active ingredient DEET, N-diethyl metatoluamide. You can find it at any grocery store, pharmacy, or gas station for $1 to $2. Off-brand, repel, cutter, any of them. You are not looking for the fancy botanical formula. You need the original formulation with DEET listed as the active ingredient at any percentage from 25% and up. Here is the science, and this is the part the chemical companies don't want you to know about in this context. DEET is classified as an organic solvent. Its molecular structure gives it a specific and powerful property. It is a plasticizer for polycarbonate. When DEET contacts polycarbonate plastic, it begins to chemically interact with the polymer chains at the surface. Now here is why this matters critically. The UV oxidized layer on your headlight has a fundamentally different molecular structure than the healthy polycarbonate beneath it. The oxidized layer is brittle, cross-linked differently, and chemically compromised. DEET selectively penetrates and liquefies this compromised oxidized layer on contact. It does not just sit on top. It chemically converts the dead material into a fluid that wipes cleanly away. What it does not do is aggressively attack the intact, healthy polycarbonate underneath at the same rate, because the solvent interaction works fastest on the damaged, structurally weakened material. You are not grinding away healthy plastic. You are chemically dissolving only the dead layer and wiping it off. The result is smooth, optically clear plastic with zero abrasion and zero micro-scratch damage. This is not a polish. This is not a buffer. This is a targeted chemical reaction, and it costs $1. But watch closely what happens next, because this is where most people who try this online either do it wrong or skip a critical step that causes real damage. Here is the exact process. Follow this precisely. Step 1. Go to any grocery store, gas station, or pharmacy and buy a can of bug spray with DEET. Standard aerosol or pump spray, any brand, $1 to $2. That is your only purchase. Step 2. This is critical and non-negotiable. Do not, under any circumstances, spray the DEET directly onto your car. DEET is a solvent. It will damage automotive clear coat paint on contact. Do not spray it on the headlight housing trim. Do not spray it near any painted surface. The DEET goes on the applicator only, not on the car. Step 3. Take a paper towel or a clean microfiber rag and hold it completely away from the vehicle. Spray the DEET generously onto the rag until it is well saturated. Give it 2 or 3 solid bursts. Now you have a controlled solvent applicator. Step 4. Press the saturated rag firmly against the yellow headlight lens and wipe with steady, even pressure. You will see the oxidation transfer onto the rag within seconds. On heavily oxidized lenses, the material coming off will be thick and visibly yellow. Keep wiping, reapplying DEET to a clean section of the rag as needed until the lens is clear. Most headlights are done in under 2 minutes. Step 5. This is the step that cannot be skipped. Immediately after the lens is clear, wash the entire headlight thoroughly with car wash soap and clean water. Rinse it completely. This step neutralizes the DEET and stops the chemical reaction. DEET left to sit on polycarbonate for extended periods will continue working and can eventually affect the healthy material beneath. The wash step is what makes this process safe and precise. Do not skip it. Do not do this on a hot day in direct sunlight where the DEET can evaporate unevenly before you wash it off. Work in shade. Optional but recommended. After the headlight is washed and dry, apply a thin coat of UV-resistant car wax or a dedicated plastic UV sealant over the now clear lens. This replaces the UV protection that the original oxidized layer was consuming, and it will slow reoxidation significantly going forward. A small can of plastic UV sealant costs $3 to $4. Your total investment is still under $6. That is the complete process. No drill, no sandpaper, no wet sanding stages, no polishing compounds, no removing material from your headlight. 3 seconds of chemical contact, 1 wash cycle, and you are done. Now let's talk about what just happened here financially. You spent $1. $1 in 2 minutes. The auto detailing industry's answer to this same problem is a $30 kit that requires you to attach a drill attachment, work through multiple grits of wet sanding, apply polishing compound in stages, and spend 30 minutes physically abrading your own headlights into a thinner state. And you will need to buy that kit again in less than 2 years, because the sanding process removes the UV barrier and accelerates the next oxidation cycle. Over the life of a 10-year-old vehicle, you could easily spend $150 on repeated restoration kits, each one slowly thinning your lenses toward replacement. Headlight replacement at a shop for a modern vehicle with sealed housing assemblies can run anywhere from $300 to over $1,000 per lens, depending on the make and model, because the headlight assembly includes the housing, the projector, and the electronics. The detailing industry prays that you never find out there is a chemical shortcut that interrupts this entire cycle at the source for $1, because the moment you know this, you stop buying their product forever. That is why this information doesn't get featured in detailing magazines. That is why auto parts stores place those restoration kits at eye level with bright packaging and testimonials, and the bug spray is on a completely different shelf with no automotive context around it at all. The suppression isn't a conspiracy. It's just standard retail strategy. Keep the profitable solution visible. Keep the cheap, effective alternative invisible. You just made it visible. If this exposed something real for you, share this video right now. Send it to anyone who has ever complained about foggy headlights, anyone who has ever bought one of those kits and watched their lens fog back up a year later. Preserving this kind of buried knowledge only works if it spreads faster than the industry can ignore it. Subscribe to this channel and ring the bell so you are there the moment the next blueprint drops. And don't forget the complete buried blueprint vault in the description below, because what we are compiling there goes far deeper than headlights. The next blueprint opens soon, and what's inside is even